I'd like to call to order the regularly scheduled Village Council meeting for the Village of Beverly Hills for Tuesday, January 6, 2026. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. George?
Here.
Ms. Rajusco?
Here.
Ms. Kescometti?
Here.
Mr. Mercer?
Here.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Here.
Mr. Booth?
Here.
Mr. Drummond?
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, with that, would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, with that, are there any amendments to the agenda or a motion to approve the agenda?
George, if you don't mind. No, go ahead. Mr. George, I'd like to move that we move consent agenda item number 3 to the business agenda, please.
All right,
Support.
all right. The request is to amend the agenda to move consent agenda item number 3 to business agenda item number 2.
I should specify
number-
F3. Yes, consent
2.
agenda item F3. Business agenda, yes.
Additionally, Mr. Othey, do we need to add anything regarding this, the gambling license, or is that on here?
No, it needs to be added,
Okay, under the consent agenda, or do we need to discuss as well?
wherever you'd like.
Let's add it to the business agenda so you can explain it. So if there's a, would you like to amend that to?
Sure. Mr. George, I'd like to move that we amend the agenda to move item F3 from the consent agenda to business agenda item number 2 and add business agenda item number 3 regarding a charitable game license.
I'll support that amendment.
All right.
And make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I think first we need to.
Oh, yeah, sorry,
You
I'm
have to
getting
vote
ahead of
on it
myself.
Because we're
Yeah.
adding the one item. If
Yeah.
you took it off the consent agenda, no big deal.
Right. So all those in favor of amending the agenda?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Now I will make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have an agenda. Are there any community announcements this evening, either online or in chamber?
I'd like to just briefly say a couple things. I'm Mike Garvey. I live on,
Hang on one second. Are we doing a community announcements or are we doing a public comment?
I was doing public.
Okay, you can stay right there because I'm just going to make sure we don't have any community announcements, and then we'll move on. Anyone in chamber or online? If not, we'll move on from from community announcements to public comments. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I live on Amherst. Last session, Dave mentioned that his wife was involved with a police report in stating that she had done some work taking pictures of a couple houses. And following all that up, Dave mentioned that he would really appreciate closing the subject, as I think all of us would. There has been no action on anything, and after reading the police report a little bit, it stated that there was going to be a call to discuss with Barb the error involved with the police report and put the whole topic to bed. I think everybody in this room would really resent getting a call from the police saying that you were doing something that was inappropriate. And I think Barb is due, a statement or some kind of reach out to discuss it. And nothing like that's happened so far. It's been about 3 weeks. So I'll keep you guys apprised of it, and you'll be hearing from me if it doesn't happen, and hopefully it does. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Anyone else, online or in chamber?
David Bob in Orchard Way Court.
Thank you, Mike, for the kind words. I appreciate that. Actually, you know, this isn't put to bed. I wish it was. But when I spoke here the last meeting in December 16th, I really only asked for a couple of things. One of those was I really wanted to know why there was a false police report filed, and I don't think we ever got a good reason why that happened. I've been told that it really isn't a false police report. Obviously, it is a police report. There's no doubting that, I think. And it's full of falsehoods. I mean, the whole report is bogus. So I guess I would want to know, what should I call it to get somebody to look into the reason why it was ever filed in the first place. The second thing is we tried to file a report refuting the original, and when we did that, we told we couldn't do that because we didn't have any proof. Yet the original report was filed and investigated, and it had no proof. So I'm just curious as to why the two parties were treated differently. And then the third was we pointed out some village code violations, which I think were admitted in the report by the complainant, and asked if they would be investigated. And to our knowledge, they have not. So I guess I really want to know is how is it that a totally false report can be filed by one resident against another, and even after it's been proven absolutely, unrefutably false, that nothing would happen. And so far, nothing has. Not even the courtesy of acknowledging it from 5 of the council members that sit behind the council table. So I guess my question today would be, what do I need to do to get some activity on this? Or is this just how we do things in Beverly Hills these days? Sweep things under the rug and hope that nobody trips over the lump.
Thank you. Anyone else? Online or in chamber? If not, we'll close public comments and move on to the consent agenda. There are 2 items on the consent agenda this evening. Number 1, approval of the December 16th, 2025 council minutes. And number 2, review and file bills recapped as of Monday, January 5th, 2026. Anyone like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda. Support.
All right, we have support. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Rajewsko?
Yes.
Ms. Kescometti?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Abud?
Yes.
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. On to the business agenda. There are 3 items now on the business agenda this evening. Number 1, presentation of the fiscal year 2025 audit. Mr. Othie.
Yes, I'm going to invite our auditor and our finance director to present the audit this year for fiscal year 2025. Only thing I would add real quick is that the village obtained an unmodified opinion from our auditor on our financial statements, which is the highest opinion that can be issued. So with that, I will turn it over.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Christina Lavielle, and I was the manager on the audit this year. I have prepared a little bit of a presentation for you, really brief overview of kind of some of the highlights from this year. As Warren mentioned, you guys did receive the unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance. So our opinion can only be issued by a licensed CPA firm. Management's responsibility is really the fair preparation of those financial statements, and then we express an opinion on whether or not those financial statements are materially correct. So everything was materially correct, which is why you guys got the modified opinion. Can I go back? Sorry. Sorry. Sorry about that. User error. Okay, so this slide kind of breaks down your general fund revenue for the year by different categories, which include taxes, which you can see that's the biggest chunk. So that's your property taxes. And that was about a 7% increase from the prior year, which is kind of the trend we've been seeing with the, property values are going up every year, and also, changes in millage rates and everything like that. All of the other revenues were very consistent with the prior year. So you came in at about 5.1 million. And this is just the general fund. Okay, the next slide shows the trend in general fund revenues over the last 5 years. So you can see it's been steadily climbing, which is good. You never want to see it steadily go down. So really, you've seen it rise since 2021 as a result of the pandemic and, grants coming in that, the pandemic resulted in some additional funding from federal and state sources. And state shared revenue has historically been going up year over year. The next slide, this is your general fund expenditures and transfers out. So you will see transfers out was pretty significant this year, which is due to a lot of the capital projects and your local street projects that were going on. I think local streets was about $2 million. So, getting all those repairs and infrastructure updated is important. So that's why that number is so big and increased so much. And it looks like pretty much everything else was pretty consistent. You had some large increases in rec and culture from the prior year, which was due to some land that was gifted, and you guys paid closing costs on that. But really, everything else looked pretty consistent. It's just those transfers that were pretty significant. And you'll see that in this trend. It's a little more steep than your revenue, which is because of those transfers out this year that were pretty significant. This graph just shows your revenues and expenditures and kind of compares them to each other. So you'll see every year they've been very consistently matched, which is what you want. You definitely don't want to be spending more than you're bringing in. So that's a good trend to see. 2021, you can see there was a little bit more of a discrepancy, probably because of the pandemic. This next slide highlights your water and sewer fund operating revenues and expenses. So again, you see those are kind of matched. In 2025, it looks like operating revenues were a little bit more significant than expenses, which is always a good thing. That adds to the net position. So if you do need infrastructure repairs, that means you're adding to the money that you can spend in future years when that need happens. Okay, so internal controls. So as part of our audit, we do look at compliance and the single audit this year, which is your federal audit that we did. And the village had not had a federal audit in several years. I don't even think I could find one in the last maybe 10. I don't think so. So really a lot of these came from turnover. You'll see number 2 right there is a correction of a prior period error, which was related to, really it was an accounting thing with deferring state shared revenue that wasn't received within 60 days last year, but it really was received. So basically your revenue should have been higher last year than it was. So we did correct that. So in your financial statements, you will see that there is a prior period adjustment. However, it's corrected. The audit adjustment, number 1, is, I'll talk about that on the next slide too, because that really related to the federal awards also. And there was a material budget overage, and it related to your ARPA fund that transferred money out, and the budget amendment didn't reflect that. So really, it was just kind of a one-off thing because your ARPA fund, it's done now. It's all been spent. So I don't foresee these being issues going forward, especially with Elizabeth being in the position now. So really, she just kind of came into some fun stuff.
And I'll add real quick, the single audit we're talking about that's been in your packet, we only have to do those if in any year we spend over $750,000 of federal money, which is not common for us. So that's why this is new this year. Might be several years before we see it again.
Yes.
Hopefully not.
Right, and that threshold is going up to 1 million, depending on what date of your grant. So it's probably going to be few and far between unless you guys go out and apply for, different grants. And I know the EPA has been throwing around a lot of money to get rid of their ARPA funding. So just depends on your needs and what you apply for. So this is the compliance side. This is the single audit. So we did test that congressionally mandated project, which was related to water and sewer line repairs.
It's the Pierce Water Main Project.
Yep. So you'll see there's two findings here. So that 2025-05, that is related to a finding with the allowable costs, which it ended up being an invoice around year end that didn't get properly split between the 2 years. So really, all the expenditures just needed to be moved into the correct years, and it was just large enough that we had to call it a material weakness. However, it was corrected, so your financial statements are materially correct. And then the other finding, 04, is related to written federal policies and procedures, and this is also due to the fact that you typically do not have federal awards, and there were major changes probably about 5 or 6 years ago. It's called uniform guidance, so I did send Warren and Liz a template of that for you guys to look at and draft, just so in case you get any going forward, you'll be covered.
Okay.
And then obviously, there was nothing last year because you didn't have a single audit. But overall, the audit was very good. I anticipate next year being even better, with Liz being there a full year. So we really appreciate all of your help in your department, and Warren was great too, so.
Super. I assume part of this is, well, A, not having procedures for things we don't do frequently, or strong procedures. B, changing finance director, manager, and auditor all at the same time,
Right.
probably.
Fiscal year end.
Yeah, right as,
Yes.
right as
Yes,
we're
that's a
trying to
lot of
close the
things
books.
happening. No,
Yeah.
I really don't anticipate any of these things being issues going forward, and, we've had good discussions about that, and I think next year will be much cleaner, and we'll probably issue a lot sooner, so.
Do you are there additional slides that you're presenting, or is it time for questions? Moral support and questions. Can you flip back to the slide, the bar graph that shows the general fund expenditures, please?
I can look at it here, too.
I'm open.
The bar
It's the
graph.
red bar graph,
Yes.
down a little bit.
That's the revenues.
Yeah, it's a couple
It's
slides
two
down.
Two down. Yeah,
There you
that
go.
one.
All right, give me a second.
So for anyone following along at home, if you've sat through our budget meetings, or when we go through the audit and we talk about fund balances, we don't have the slides up for the fund balances, but if you go through the audit, which is available online, I'm assuming, if not, it should be published in this packet, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's on
The separate
website,
page too with all the
Yeah,
others.
we've had discussions before about the fact, what is an appropriate level of reserve? How much money should we have on hand? And there's no clear guidance on that. The number I don't know if what do you tell municipalities when they ask that? How much money should we have on hand?
So really, there's no hard and fast number. But the state does like to see about 20%. But obviously, you guys, I can see in yours, you have the subsequent year budget, which is about 2.5 million as assigned, and that's just based on how you adopted your budget. And that's anticipating that you're going to have transfers out or large capital projects in the coming year. So even though it looks like you're really below right now, I think it'll kind of shake out in subsequent years where you're going to have revenue that boosts that back up, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't have that big assigned fund balance.
Yeah, and part of this is we had built a significant fund balance with no projects planned or attached to it, and it was almost 100%. And at a time 10 years ago, Tim might remember, when 15 now, is when we started dividing the millage with a heavy emphasis on public safety, because they didn't have their own fund balance. And so now they have a fund balance that supports public safety. We recently had a larger general fund balance because it supported the water and sewer fund, because we didn't have funding in the water and sewer fund. So now we have a good cash reserve. I'm sad we don't have a slide on that, because that's probably one of the best things that I saw in here, is that we got that back to 20-ish%.
Right.
And a lot of this is, over the 23, it's probably going to stretch across 4 budgets where we're paying out of here for the sidewalk project. And so a big chunk of that for next year is dedicated to that. So it's always moving. I've seen 20%, I've seen 3 months, it all depends. But, it's the idea being that governments shouldn't turn into a bank. You have a fairly predictable source of revenue with taxes coming in on an annual basis. And so you try to make sure you've got enough to account for a downturn or an emergency, but not so much that you're sitting on money that should be deployed for projects in the community. So this year, in the last couple of years, we've gone bigger on road projects, and we've been spending for our portion of the sidewalk project, and doing water and sewer projects, but those are funded out of the water and sewer fund, and we're building a balance there, so. all good.
Yeah, and I mean, and once you guys don't have any big projects going on too, this could totally flip this year, and just because it's assigned doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be used.
Right.
You can amend the budget throughout the year as things change. So it's really just a snapshot in time of what that assigned fund balance is.
All right. Questions, comments? Finance Director Cutie, anything to add? Good audit process? Good. Good. Yeah, we take public comments. No, we need you at the podium so you can give your name and street.
I like spreadsheets, but I don't know, pictures too. Gilbert Amherst. I'm glad you focused on the general fund because that's basically the substance of my question. When you said 20%, that's 20% of what, expenditures?
Typically, yes.
Okay, okay. If you follow along, maybe you want this, Mr. Rossi. This is the history of the general fund from 2020 through the forecast for 2026. And my first question is, on page 25 of your audit, you talked about $1.8 million of forecasted transfers out in 26. Yet our adopted budget for 2026 said it was 2.8. Is there can someone explain to me the difference in those two amounts?
That was in the management session, What page did you say?
It's 2.5, 2-5. I can probably show it to you. Sure. In the adopted budget for 2026 fiscal year end that's posted online, the assumption was that there'd be 2.8 million in transfers out of the general fund in the 26 fiscal period, and you have 1.8 here. I'm just wondering what the difference, I'm not trying to make a big deal out of it, I'm just asking what the difference is, because I've forecasted out what the general fund balance will be based on the forecasted revenues and expenditures, and then, of course, to get to the ending fund balance, you need to deduct the transfers out. So that's what I'm asking. Okay.
You have to remember always with the budgets, what is on the financial statements, there's a lot of accounting standards and everything that we have to follow that could change the budget from what you're actually seeing as well. in the
With respect
financials.
to an assumption for the forecast period of transfers out?
Well, it's an assumption, so I mean.
I'm familiar with budgets, but, okay, all right, so someone can get back with me on that. So if you go to the grayed area and the pumpkin colored area, if you're making $1 million different assumption in what the transfer out is going to be, we're forecasted at the end of 26, if you're assuming the 2.8, to have a fund balance in the general fund of $1,025,000, or if you go with the auditors at $1.8 million, of course, it's going to be $1 million more at $2,025,000. Which, if you look at the 7-year period, that's the lowest general fund we've ever had in the last 7-year period. I haven't gone back beyond that, but it's very low. And of course, I understand this trend of the transfer out, because it is a little bit like piggy bank. It grew big, 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 and then you transfer it out. And thank goodness we got the $2 million, or took, I guess, the $2 million loan. But there's a couple trends here that the annual expenditures, if you look at those as a percent of the revenues coming in, they've gone from 64% of the expenditures to revenue to 86%. Or in other words, for every dollar of revenue we spent in 2020, or for every dollar of revenue, we spent 65 cents. That has trended consistently up to 86 cents. So for every dollar in 2025, of revenue, we spent 86 cents in expenditures. So that's eating away at the margin. It's marginal, because it's nothing like the 3.3 million we transferred out. But my point is, if you I guess that for my education, I need to know too, in the governmental fund balances, which is the general public safety capital projects, roads, drug enforcement, law, parks, prepaid items, et cetera, are all of those funds restricted except the general fund from transferring between each other?
I mean, typically, yes, you'll see major and local roads, they're allowed to transfer. ARPA was allowed to transfer because that was the whole point, depending on if you had allowable expenditures in different funds. But typically, you'll see general fund is what most of the transfers go to other funds.
Right. My point in isolating that is, if we really are going down to a general fund of $1 million, which I guess technically meets your 20%, and you have, I don't know, say a major storm that costs you $300,000 or $400,000, which we did 2 years ago this coming June, it doesn't seem like it's leaving much of a cushion. And it concerns me because you can't, there's no magic place to go back out and grab it from to restock the general fund other than these revenue sources that you listed, which are, that you put on the pie chart for us. Is that correct? I mean, where else would we go for the money if we had a major emergency that was nearing $1 million?
Well, are you talking about just what's unassigned in the general fund balance, or including last year's budget?
You're going to have to restate the question. I don't understand your question.
So in the governmental,
I'm open to questions, but I'm also not going to have our auditor responsible for answering for us where we would get money. That's more of a manager
I'm
question.
trying to understand for myself, Mr. George, and hopefully other people
Yeah.
who will listen. If the general fund is depleted, there's not really a way, you can't reach out and grab it from public safety, which has a really nice general fund cushion, right? Because it's restricted. So you can't rearrange the pots, if you will. This is kind of it, kind of like a bank account, right? That's the pot of money. And if you're driving it down to $1 million, my only point is, and I'm just trying to confirm how to fund accounting, I'm not totally literate in fund accounting, but I am trying, you don't have much cushion. You would have to result to probably borrowing, all things being equal, because you've taken into account the increase in revenue. So that is my concern, if it could just be maybe, the consideration of it would be great.
All right, thank you. So noted. Any other questions?
President George.
Yes, sir.
I have it's just a general question on some of the charts.
yep,
So I see your general fund revenues, that chart, that bar chart, historically 21 to 25.
yep,
And then you show the expenditures, right?
yep,
The expenditures with that number and the transfers out. And then you show a graph of those two together on page 6. And if you go forward one page and you see that, I get the numbers to line up for revenue and expense until the very last one. Am I to assume that that number is backing out the transfers? Because everything is, on the expense says it's 7.8, but this is showing it's.
yes, I
like-
apologize, that is backing out the transfers, even though it does say other financing sources and uses.
So did the other numbers back out those transfers as well then? So in 5, that is backed out in those numbers for the previous years?
I would have to verify, but it's clear that, yes, the expenditures are definitely not including the transfers in this.
But on this chart, I don't know what the numbers are exactly, but it looks closer to 5 million, say 4.7, if you were to back out the 3.3 in those expenditures, right, the transfers. If you're at 7.7, which is what it says is the expenditure on top of slide 4, you back out 3.3, you're at 4.4, and that doesn't look like looks like it's above more than half of 4 million.
I would have to double check, but it might just be an accidental error on our end in the chart.
Okay.
Which I apologize for.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure I kind of understand. I'm just trying to, look at this. I didn't see this before. I went through the other numbers. They all match, but I just want to make sure we're representing this apples to apples, right, from year to
Right,
year.
I agree, yep.
And especially, I think this will become a public record.
Sure.
Right? So I don't have any issue with, I think, the numbers that were reported and put out, because I know all of our financials go up to a state website, blah, blah, blah. So
Yes.
I just want to make sure that this is kind of matching it. So-
Yes, so I will say in 2021 to 2024, your transfers were significantly less.
I know,
So I think
yeah.
it's going to show a significant less, swing as compared to this year, which I apologize. With 2025, it does look like I did exclude the other financing sources. But I will say too, that's transfers out were the only other financing sources over the last 5 years. So this year, yes, it would look way more skewed, but I do think that this still gives you, all other things considered, even if the transfers are included in the other years, that it still is pretty
Oh,
consistent.
absolutely. I mean, the other graphs show it, the revenue and expenditures, it shows the
Right.
disparate difference, but we also have a reason for that, so.
Yes,
Okay,
yep.
thank you.
Good question, and I will double check that when I get back to the office.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. Other questions? Yes.
Mr. I have a question, and maybe this is better directed to the finance manager or the village manager, but going back to the recommendation that we have that in general rule of thumb is that we maintain a 20% fund balance. So that's maintaining 20% of our expected regular expenses would be in reserve, right?
In the unassigned fund balance for general fund.
Okay.
And that's, again, not a hard and fast rule. I've seen everywhere from 10 to 20 to 15. Some places have a minimum fund balance policy. So it really is whatever the council is comfortable with and what you think you need in there.
And so, right, it is really a judgment call, and it's the comfort, right? And so what is our comfort level with our incoming revenue? And what is our comfort level with how stable we know our expected expenses to be? How much control do we have over those things, right? So it really is about predictability and comfort, right? And so am I right, because I'm thinking about Ms. Gilbert's comments, right? Am I right in thinking that 20% is there, like your savings account at home, in case of emergency, in case of a big storm, in case your water heater breaks, or whatever it is, right? Like, what is your unexpected expense that might come up, and that's why you have a buffer, right? And
Right.
so is it, in your opinions, is this a safe place for us to be, maintaining a 20% buffer?
So I definitely think it is. And one thing I will say too is that subsequent years assigned amount, that is included in your cushion technically, because that really is just what you budgeted, expenditures in excess of revenue. So really that is there. You guys, if something comes up, you are more than allowed to amend your budgets, use that money for whatever happens. So there's a big water main break, you can move those transfers around or move the money around. So even though the unassigned looks really small this year, really you're kind of planning for those additional things that might happen next year. But I think 20%, I mean, that's what I've seen, that's pretty much the consistent policy that most of my governments have. But you could go anywhere from 15, 20, 25, 30, it's whatever you're comfortable with and whatever you foresee needing in the near future.
All right, thank you.
Other questions? So I'm looking at the budget for '26, where in the general fund section, it's got appropriations of $7.5 million, right?
Yep.
So that's $1.5 million. So again, and then the following year, it goes down to 5.6 because we're swallowing a watermelon right now with a big project. So
Right.
this is the challenge. We sat here and had conversations where we had people behind the table who weren't happy with the fact we had so much money, and now we're spending it, and we have concern over not having enough. I feel like we're in a good spot.
Yeah.
One of the things that gets pointed out in the, this has been a community that historically has kept the debt service as low as possible. The only debt we have outstanding is the $2 million State Infrastructure Bank loan that we took recently, which again is to help smooth that project out, the sidewalk project, and the other piece is 3.8 million related to water and sewer bonds. Again, those are not things that we have control over. We have a big lump coming, 6.6 million, which again will be serviced by the water and sewer fund, which should not affect the general fund. The borrowing capacity for our, I think, based on the charter, is 10%. Am I right on that? I think it's 10% of the taxable values. The taxable values this year are $833 million. So our borrowing capacity is $83 million, and we're currently sitting at 5.8. So, not that I want to go borrow more money, but that, to give anyone an idea of how that works. Yes?
I just wanted to also point out our water and sewer is positive now.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
when we would have had a larger general fund, we would have pulled that into water and sewer from general, which is no longer necessary. So it generally gives us some relief in that regard. I know there's plans for usage for that money, but I just wanted to point that out. While we may have carry a lower general fund, I think that's through additional fiscal kind of balancing that we've done across our balances, including some of the action Mr. Rothy's taken. So just to quell any major concerns, I think we're still not in too rough of a place compared to where we've been in the past. It's redistributed potentially. But it is a good point that you can't transfer back into the general fund, but I think we've done an appropriate allocation.
Yeah, if we're, again, if we look at, I'm looking at the council packet from, I think it was the first meeting in May when we adopted the budget, and that has projections out for this current year and then 27, and this is the year where we make a big push out. So, the estimated revenue is 5.3, the estimated appropriations are 7.5, and then next year it comes close to balancing back out. And it's still showing at the end of next year, the ending fund balance of $1.9 million on, on $5 million worth of expenditures, which is closer to 40% than it is 20%. So, because the general fund has, it needs support. Water and sewer has its own support, public safety has its own support. I always kind of look at it as three buckets of public safety, water and sewer, and then everything else, if that makes sense to me, anyhow.
Yep.
So, any questions? Brock?
Not a question, just a thought. So that fund balance expenditure, the 17 to 20%, could be ideal. Is that basically to be able to, say, go 2 months of our funding that we need to operate the village? Is that where it stems from technically?
That's like pretty much the methodology, yes. Like, you really don't want to get into the part where you're not going to be able to fund things after a 3-month period or a 4-month period. Yep.
Okay.
And depending on what percentage you pick, that could, and what your numbers are shaking out to be and forecasted, that can change on how long you want to be able to finance based off of fund balance.
I mean, with all the CVTs around here, there's definitely some historical data of how much, compared to us to other villages. So that's all. Thank you. That's all I have. Just a thought.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, the most clear example is that Mr. Mercer probably has the most relevant experience with is during the downturn, because we had to ask the community to support a millage in 2010, right in the teeth of the downturn, where housing values went down, which caused your revenue to go down, which, impinged your ability to deliver on a budget that you had expected to be able to deliver on. And so it's either people are going to support that or they're not. And if not, I know there was a big discussion, this predates me coming to the village, but I know there was a lot of conversation around, okay, what are we getting rid of, How many public safety officers, how much are, what are we doing, Right. Is it not paving roads? Is it, not picking, not having programming in the parks? What are the things? So, assuming, the housing values maintain, this all makes sense. And, when I look at this year and next year, it looks like a comfortable fund balance in the general fund to support the general fund. Water and sewer is improving. Public safety is a whole separate issue, and it's in great shape. So.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right. Thank you very
all.
much. Appreciate it. All right.
We typically make a motion to accept. I've done it in my previous
File.
committees. I don't know.
File, yeah, accept
Okay.
file.
I wrote one up, I believe, in the memo.
If anyone would like to find that, we didn't assign that one out.
It's on page 16 of 102.
I'm getting there. If anybody gets there first, go ahead.
Loading. Mr. George, at this time, please be it resolved that the Village of Beverly Hills Council hereby accepts the 2025 fiscal year audit as presented.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Say thank you, but they're gone, so don't blame them. All right, thank you. On to number 2, traffic control order.
Is that the order we put them in?
Yeah, yeah, we want traffic control order next. Mr. Othie.
Yes, before you this evening is a traffic control order to add a stop sign at an intersection. Director Johnson is here to explain the request further and answer questions you may have.
You guys thought that was fun. I've got a traffic flow diagram.
I see it.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
Yeah, so there currently exists a collision point at Riverside, where Riverside and Faircrest meet. They're going westbound on Riverside, southbound on Riverside into Faircrest. There's no controlled stop at that intersection. We would like to change that. So there's no collision point at that intersection. In doing so, that's, the purple dot is the collision point that I'm talking about. The 2 stop signs on the north side up there are pretty irrelevant.
This is existing.
This is the existing stop sign that is on
Sorry, can you
Faircrest.
repeat that? Which one's existing?
All
The
three.
All three.
All 3 are currently existing. The stop sign on the lower part is a stop on Faircrest onto Riverside.
I just want to ask a question, make sure I understand, just to kind of simplify it a bit.
Yeah.
Basically, the green line can cross the red line going north,
Yeah,
and there's nothing that precludes either one of those from running into each other.
there is no control there. Yeah.
Okay, that's how I understand it, so, thanks.
So if you
But
were-
isn't that the case anytime you go to turn left?
There's no left turn,
There is.
continuation of the road.
No, the road is Riverside.
What do you-
That road,
Yeah, but-
that drawing is rudimentary, but not to, I'm not disparaging it, but Riverside continues on. Anytime you have a road that's going and curving, whatever, if you go to turn off that road, you have to yield to the person coming in on traffic. Oncoming traffic, that's the basic principles of left turns.
As you go here, you calling this a left turn?
Yeah, but this
That's
is.
not a left turn.
This is a.
You're left turning here onto,
Yeah, but
this is not Riverside in this. This
No.
is actually Faircrest.
Faircrest, right.
But Riverside is going, you're going on Riverside. This road, you're making a left. You make
I
a
mean-
left, you got to yield to oncoming traffic. You don't have to, but it's a good idea.
I think, if I may, that might be the rule, but I think in practice and what we're seeing happening with the flow of traffic is, it's,
Fundamentally, I think you're correct.
Yeah.
If you're driving there,
But-
it is a.
I drive it all the time.
It's a straight line.
road.
But we've had, how many accidents here? I haven't seen the report, maybe we'll see that. How many accidents have we had here?
I'm not
How
sure.
long has it been that way?
Since 1982 is the last traffic control order.
And it was probably that way before that, right?
I don't know. That was,
We're trying to fix a problem we don't really have? We've done that before,
Or prevent a problem from occurring.
well, yeah.
I believe, didn't it say there were an instance of increased accidents? Yes? Was there not?
I didn't read that, but
no, we don't
I only
have crash
see-
data on.
Did you say there wasn't crash data done?
Mr.
It's
George,
just
could I ask, could we, maybe, Mr. Johnston, could you continue? I mean, if this is existing, just identify to us what's being proposed, and then maybe why.
So this is the proposed, to basically put a stop sign in on westbound Riverside at the intersection to stop that traffic from crossing the collision point, letting traffic go both ways, alleviating the need for the stop sign at Faircrest, northbound.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly when I drive it, what I do, so that I make sure I don't get hit by a car. It's exactly what I end up doing.
So, Mr. George, may I ask a question?
Please do.
So I just want to make sure I understand. Mr. Mercer, are you suggesting that on the proposed map here, this furthest south stop sign, what's proposed being new, you're suggesting that the rule of the road is that you yield there anyway? Is that?
I'm not proposing, that is,
I'm sorry.
that's what you do. I mean, that's so, I don't know. We can try to engineer or put in stops, lots of places to try to prevent things. You're probably not going to prevent them all, but we could do that. We could make it a three-way stop. We could make it a stops on Riverside.
Put a traffic circle in.
You could line the street. You could put a line down this middle of the
Okay,
street.
I was just trying to clarify, make sure I
Probably don't wanna do
understood.
that. I think that's been done before, and that didn't work out real well.
Just choose your color wisely.
Mr. Johnston, can you help us understand like how we came to this proposal?
It
How was the problem identified?
It was a notice collision point by myself at one point and by our new Chief Arnold. And we talked about it and decided that it was a good idea.
So, but this is based on traffic engineering. Like, I don't spend a lot of time reading about this, so I assume you two are more steeped in that than I am. So that's what I'm asking. I get the point that, you know, I understand that it might be fine, but if there is methodology that is telling us we can make it safer, I'm not opposed to that conversation. So, I mean, I think we received 2 emails in response, both not in favor of this, one saying there's a speeding problem on that road, and it seems like not, having a traffic break at some point might help with that, and I live by close enough to stop signs that I know how fast people can accelerate past a stop sign. I get that, so. Yeah, so I understand what you're trying to do. I don't drive on, I mean, you might drive on it more than I do. I'm not mad at it because I don't go west on that road terribly frequently. And if I did, I don't know that I'd still be mad at it. I'm not sure.
Well, if I could, Mr. George, I don't live, and that's why I asked to move it to the
Right.
discussion point, right?
Yeah.
Because we did receive 2 very thoughtful emails about it, and I had hoped to drive over there today and didn't get a chance. But, that used to be my route from our neighborhood to Berkshire, right? You go down Saxon, and then you come here, I guess on what turns into Faircrest. And when you get to that triangle, it's a bit of a dodgy situation for these folks that are coming off of Riverside. So I don't disagree with the premise here. I tried to read through the comments again to understand why it was objectionable to folks that lived in the neighborhood, right? Other than, the point I get is, well, at least the people that travel the road, they know what it is now. And so, they're used to it, and so maybe there's a safety in the fact that they're used to it and they know what to look out for. But it seems like a reasonable suggestion for improvement. So I'm just trying to weigh that, right? The folks that live over there, we've heard from a couple that said, not a great idea. But on its face, it seems like a reasonable improvement, so I'm just trying to.
A couple of the concerns, one was that there's trees there. We can, of course, trim those trees up to make sure the signs are visible and put a yellow sign underneath the stop sign to ensure people know that the cross traffic does not stop. We'll flag the signs with orange flags, high intensity for a period of time after installation. We could even put one on the stop sign that's going to be removed. We can put a temporary on there to let people know that, hey, in a few weeks, this sign is going to be removed. We can take those measures as well.
I mean, a stop ahead sign, on the westbound before you take the curve, I don't know when those are appropriate.
Yeah. also, you can pick which way you're going, which is what makes it scary. Because if you're here,
Yeah, I know, there's no good spot for it. It should be right in the middle of that intersection.
I wonder also how, like, right, we're talking about cars, but there's a lot of people riding bikes through this area too. And so, I feel like, there's been a few, I grew up on the east side. I went to Berkshire. Was able to ride, I remember as a kid and even now being in this area and honestly trying to avoid it at times because you had to like creep out and kind of stick your neck out and things. So, I understand that it's been that way for a very long time. But a stop sign isn't permanent. If for some reason we find that the stop sign is somehow strangely more dangerous than the situation we have, we can make another adjustment, correct? So to try something new isn't like, it's not permanent and forever. It's trying to do something differently and see if it improves the safety of that area. I get that there's rules of the road and ways things are supposed to be done, but if in practice it's not happening safe enough and causing an issue, I think from my experience in that intersection, I think that this change makes sense and is worth a try. And I do think that it may make things a little bit safer, especially with these e-bikes and how fast kids go through on them, to kind of control traffic, to slow down and have a little bit more time to look. So I'm in support of it.
Mr. O'Gorman.
So I travel this intersection quite a bit, both directions, down Riverside, down Faircrest, and back up. I'm in support of it. Just from my experiences here, I agree with Mr. Mercer that from a traffic, law perspective, Riverside is the continuous road that curves across the corner, and therefore people coming north on Riverside would have to turn left on to Faircrest, even though it's kind of a straight shot. But I think there's a couple benefits to this. One is traffic calming, because I know that there's this continual race taking this route where people cut down, Beaconsfield, to beat the folks who are going straight, because there's only one way to go unless you live on Saxon. And when you get to that Fairfax stop there, you can see the people coming from Riverside like a bat out of hell to beat you, so you can't pull out in front of them. I think that's very dangerous. And I would also say that the visibility coming down Fairfax looking back to Riverside is much worse than coming down that curve from Riverside looking towards Fairfax. You can see the traffic coming, whereas I have to kind of look back over my shoulder down Riverside to see if anybody's coming from that stop sign, which is quite difficult, actually, to be honest, particularly for runners. I've seen several runners that will, because there's no sidewalk right there, unfortunately, so runners have to also take that path on the road. So I think having a stop sign there is reasonable. Second reason I think that it's beneficial is it's traffic calming. Riverside is kind of a racetrack through the village with very few stops, and this is a kind of pinch point where you can create a stop that slows that down. So for me, I don't see anything wrong with it. I understand the concerns people posted. I think change is always not beneficial just from the standpoint of people are used to it. But I do see the interactions here and agree with the kind of, while it's not against the law, it's, you do have to turn left there theoretically. The straight's kind of a straight shot. So I think it could be beneficial. From my experience driving all three ways you can come through this intersection, I think it would be an improvement, personally. So I'm supportive.
Mr. Abud.
I don't drive this road hardly ever. And when we sit here and if we have people, right, that are saying this has been this way for a while, I want to know from a legal perspective and a liability issue, is there any liability if it stays the same? And then will that liability go away if that stop sign is moved to where you eliminate that collision point? So in order for me to understand collision points, I want to see some data that tells me that this is improper and wrong, but it's also a liability if we don't put that stop sign there. So I'm just like, I'm like, on one side, I've got people that live there and say, you know what, this is okay, and like, what are you doing? But on the other hand, people have traveled that and said there could be a collision point. So it's, for me, I just, I don't know what to use, yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to take an attorney answer on,
I wouldn't be able to speak to a liability standpoint.
yeah.
You know, I don't like to give legal opinions in public, however, I don't see that this would be a concern from the village. You know, your director has talked about the different ways they would, you know, provide notice of the change of signs. If they have the data to back it up, maybe he can't quote it to you right now, maybe he's, you know, they have the information. But the village has jurisdiction over the streets, and so the council has the authority to determine what's in the best interest of the residents.
Thank you. And I heard from 2 residents already, so.
Yep.
I have a
Yeah.
couple additional questions. I mean, I suggested you could change Faircrest to just T into Riverside and take out the triangle, but that wasn't really well received. But it's a thought. Typically, and going back to something Rock said, do we know how many cars travel each direction, basically, every day? What's the average, like?
I'd have to check the data on it. I'm
So
not
usually
sure.
don't we do a traffic study to say, hey, this is how big an issue this is, you know, 200 cars, this is 2,000 cars? I'm not, for some reason, I think we say, oh, hey, there's some change, so let's do it, because change is good. Change is good, could be good, might not be good, might be bad. I'm not against the change, I'm just saying, have we really thought this out? If we're talking about traffic calming, you're saying that traffic is driving so much faster going east to west, but we're not going to put a stop sign the other way, so traffic's not flowing as fast west to east? I mean, if you're going to turn at that stop, if you're going to turn there, does it make sense to have a stop sign both ways then? I mean,
I didn't say anything about traffic calming.
I know you didn't. I said it was proposed that it would. I think the data shows that most times stop signs temporarily slow down where the stop sign is, but doesn't slow down traffic all that much across the entire stretch. I don't have data right now with me to back that up, but I've been told that. So, all right.
I think you stopped here to see if there's a car coming this way before you proceed.
Any other questions, comments? I hear you that it might be change for the sake of change. One of my consistent messages here is that we try to hire good people and take their advice. I like that we have 2 people who came from other communities who immediately said, hey, this is a spot where we think traffic isn't flowing as it should. So, you know, I was just joking with someone the other day about when you go to sell your house and you do all the little projects that you've been working around forever, and then you go, damn, I'd like to live in this house. You know, I should have done that. So whatever the handle on the cabinet, that's been the way it's been since you've been here, but, you know, I don't know that means that that's the way it's supposed to be. I have not put a lot of thought into that intersection until this came up. I'm not opposed to trying the suggestion of the professionals. I understand the logic behind it. I don't know if it will be better or not, but I am trying to trust the professionals that this is a more appropriate traffic flow and that it will reduce the likelihood of an event there. That's how I'm viewing this. So that's my 2 cents, or 3. Any other questions, comments?
One more question.
Yes.
In complete counter to your trust the professionals and don't ask them too many questions, but just bear
No,
with me.
it's not. I didn't say don't ask them too many questions. I'm just.
Why not just add the new stop sign? Why take the existing southernmost stop sign away? Like, why,
That's an option as well, but it's
then it just
after
gets,
that one's installed, it's not really necessary anymore.
Right, because
The distance?
is that existing southernmost stop sign is for southbound Faircrest onto Riverside, is that right? Like,
Correct.
if I'm traveling southbound,
Kes
that's,
committee, I could make a suggestion. That
Please.
you'd basically have 2 people coming into the same point with a stop sign, so if they arrived at the same time, who goes?
the right.
Right.
You have
The
that,
person to the right would theoretically go by law,
Right.
but you're not in any sort of
But
like,
you're not,
you're kind of
you're not
like
at a
going the
T.
same direction onto
Right,
the
okay.
same road, so it's more of a merger than.
and then you have the looking over your shoulder piece,
Yeah,
right?
So I think having
Okay.
two stop signs there would be even more confusing, but.
Okay, that's a fair point, Mr. O'Gorman, thank you.
that lane there's not crossing anything, so it's
Okay,
no hazard.
I don't disagree
okay.
with you.
Well, you're
It's
saying
just the
there's no
law.
right there. No, you're saying there's always a person on your right. Whatever.
No, I agree that you yield to the right. That's the law. But what I'm saying is if you have two people arriving at the same point, do you think that person is,
Oh.
it's not an intersection at that point, right? It's really a merger.
Right away.
I've never come to an intersection where you've got two people stopping next to each other to go onto the same road. It's a unique situation in
Yeah.
a fork like that. I'm just going by my limited experience compared to yours, so I apologize.
Not, please.
Yeah, that happens right in front of my house,
Does it?
Yeah.
Where you at?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
because I got the 5-point intersection.
5 point.
That's a,
Yeah, a bunch of people stop next to each other.
You need a
there.
roundabout.
Telling you.
Sure.
That's what I
it
said.
kind of is. It's a triangle roundabout.
Traffic triangle.
Functions that way. When you forget something at your house and need to go back, you go around the triangle.
That whole area is
Um,
wild.
Yeah. Anyone online in chamber have comment on this? Please step up, give us your name.
Gilbert Amherst. I love this drive. I drove this every school day for 6 years. It is the loveliest drive, and I never, since we're throwing out anecdotes, I never had a problem. It was fine. But I have heard from persons on this council relative to Evergreen Road that it's so dangerous and it's awful. So I said to myself, I don't know if it's dangerous or if it's not. So I FOIA'd information on accidents on Evergreen Road and at the relative intersections. Granted, I only went back 5 years, but after everyone anecdotally saying it was so dangerous, public safety came back to me and said there's been zero. So my only comment is, if you're making this change, it would seem to me that you would want some more hard data. I don't know if that's traffic counts. I don't know if that's you go to public safety and say, well, has this been a problem? How many calls have we come to for accidents in that intersection? But sometimes going from your gut is the right thing to do, but sometimes you have actual data that you could input into the decision to maybe make it a more solid decision. But again, I don't really care. I'm happy for anybody that gets to drive down Riverside. It was the nicest part of my day, like I said, for 6 years without any problems. Thank you.
Thanks.
Just one last comment,
Yeah.
sir. I did take the school bus, and I did go on Riverside at one time, so I just I don't drive there now, but I have traveled on Riverside, if anybody cares to know that.
Noted.
But I won't do that. All right, any other questions, comments? If not,
Can make a resolution,
Yes.
Mr. President. Be it resolved that the Beverly Hills Village Council approves the traffic control order number 003-SS-25 as presented.
Support.
support from whoever you choose to write down. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Kescometti?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes?
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Abud?
No.
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Rodrusco?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you to Public Safety and Public Works for bringing that to our attention. Publicize it in all means we have, flag it, sign it as best you can so that people know change is coming and that it is there. If it flashes, whatever you need to do, great. Appreciate it. Last thing on the business agenda, number 3, is the Warriors Baseball Club resolution for charitable gaming license. Mr. Othie.
Yes, I've received a request from a Warriors Baseball Club, a 501c3 nonprofit organization that is located within an individual's house at the Village of Beverly Hills. Charitable gaming is regulated by the state of Michigan, so if you want to do a bingo, you want to do a raffle, you need to go through the state and get a proper permit. When you're a nonprofit who's recently moved to the village a few years ago, they didn't used to be located in here, and although they're a baseball club and they do things all around the state of Michigan with, players and stuff, they don't have a home base, they don't have a facility. So the way the state looks at it is, because you've never done a raffle before, you fall under an organization where you need to be officially recognized by the local government in which you chiefly operate. And again, I know they don't have any facilities, they just travel around, so because their home base is in Beverly Hills, they are seeking the village council's recognition of their status as an eligible organization for the state to proceed with issuing them a presently requested and any future requested raffle a license to conduct a raffle. Again, it's not within the village or anything. Nothing's happening in the village as far as the raffle goes. This is like a one-time thing. Once they're officially recognized, it's kind of like a birth certificate, if you will. I spoke with the state lottery gaming division staff on this request. They have already submitted all the paperwork for the state that proves their nonprofit status and all the other items, which again, we have no say over. We're just asked to officially recognize them. Obviously, I didn't include all that confidential tax information stuff in the packet, but they even sent it to me. I don't know if they were supposed to, but I got it and I saw it. So that's all this is right now is, again, if we approve this request, we'll file this resolution with the state and they'll be certified as an eligible organization to conduct charitable gaming activities. And yes, if they ever did for some reason want to come and do a raffle somewhere in Beverly Hills, if it's Beverly Hills property, of course, you would have to approve that like you would any special event request, but that's not what you're being asked to do at this time.
All right, questions? Mr. O'Gorman.
I just had two questions. I think I know the answers, but just for the sake of coverage. We don't have a limit on the number of gaming license we can provide to nonprofits, right?
We're not providing a license with this
What
request.
we granting or whatever we're doing, right?
No, it's if a nonprofit is in the village and they meet the state's criteria, all they have to do is be recognized.
Get a permission, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
okay.
many, I would imagine many nonprofits have done a raffle or bingo in their long lifespan. It's a one-time thing for them.
And then wherever they execute the raffle or whatever it is, that entity's not beholden to us in any way, shape, or form. They just have to follow their rules, so we're also
Yep.
no.
I believe it's going to be in Troy, the raffle itself.
I just wanted to point out that this is just like,
Yeah, it's the way the law was written that local governments, where
Has
they
to, yeah.
reside, if they had a place in Franklin, it would be Franklin's village council that would be considering this, not. But I'm just thankful that somebody is a Beverly Hills resident and chose our community a few years ago to live here, and so we get to do something like this.
Other questions? None? So this is just allowing them to do their thing.
Proceed with going to the state for a license.
There you go.
I did have one point. So you looked at all their articles and all the paperwork, all the nonprofit stuff to make sure everything's in order? They gave you all that with this request?
Yes, I did receive all the information. It's the state that ultimately determines if it's
Right,
valid.
I just want to make sure that
It was,
you.
it was a lot of tax returns and IRS letters. Yep.
All right.
And I reviewed this with our attorney too beforehand, so she's been.
I was afraid to ask that, so after the last time.
Super. All right. Any other questions, comments? If not, anyone want to read the resolution at the bottom of the
Sure, I will.
document?
Be it resolved, the request from Warriors Baseball Club of Michigan of Beverly Hills, Oakland, County of Oakland, lots of UBs, asking that they be recognized as a nonprofit organization operating in the community for the purpose of obtaining charitable gaming licenses be considered for approval.
support.
Support for Mr. O'Gorman. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Abud?
Yes.
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Rodusco? Yes. Ms. Cascometti?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. All right, on to public comments. Anyone in chamber or online who would like to make a public comment, now's your chance. Going twice. Seeing no yellow hands on the screen and no one stepping forward in chamber, we'll move on from public comments to the manager's report. Please, sir.
Yes, just a few updates this morning. I do appreciate the holiday closures and just the holiday themselves. I hope everybody else enjoyed the same. With this being said, we have applied for a SEMCOG grant to conduct PASER ratings throughout the village. That's how we rate our roads on a scale from 1 to 10. This is a reoccurring grant, which is kind of routine. I expect we will be awarded it, but that's in the works. We did mail out the 2026 village calendar. I hope everybody saw it. Coach Campbell, Director Arnold may have made an appearance on the cover of it. He looks good. Working on implementing the TextMyGov software. We had a training meeting this morning. I think that was the last one, perhaps, but we should be going live with that very soon. Working on a revised contract with Attorney Tom Ryan for prosecution services now that he's officially retired from being our regular attorney. Should be bringing that to you at our next council meeting. The plow truck we received, it's been used a lot lately.
What's its name?
Charlie Brown.
Nice.
And Big Red, those are our two so far, so thank you. The chipper might be named Chewbacca as well, but
Pretty good.
we'll keep them coming. As we mentioned in the audit presentation, we don't have a federal grants policy. We're working on them. I'll bring one. If it's not the next council meeting, it'll be the one after that. It's pretty boilerplate form on what types of federal purchasing things we will adhere to. It's not very attractive, but at audit time and year end, we have to do a lot of reports. So the annual PA 202 pension and OPEB report, the Act 51 finance report, the Transportation Asset Management Council report, the MI Treasury qualifying statement, and the MI Treasury F65. Again, just annual items that, take staff time, and we appreciate everybody's work on those. The council as a whole has a very busy January ahead of it, so I'll kind of close right now and just remind everybody, January 15th, 7 o'clock, joint meeting of the Village Council and the Parks Board. January 28th, a joint meeting of the Village Council and the Planning Commission, which I believe we have a quorum of council members for January 28th, but if anybody's plans change, please let me know, because I think that will end the quorum. And finally, the last day of January, Saturday, January 31st, 9 a.m., the annual council study session. So lots of meetings to come, and looking forward to going through that round of them with you for the first time. That's all I have but we'll be closed not next Monday, but Monday, January 19th for MLK Day as well. Will trash be affected by that? No, okay.
All right.
That's all I have.
Questions from council on Mr. Rothy's manager's report? Mr. O'Gorman.
It just popped in my head, so I really apologize. I should ask ahead of time, but did we agree to get cameras to put on our cars and stuff to drive around and monitor the roads? I know we had that presentation.
We did.
How does
the name of them.
How does that?
Public Works just checked out. Those were the ones that monitored the potholes.
Yeah. I don't know if I think it may have been, was it prior to Mr. Rothy?
I think that's, we're not talking the flock cameras?
No.
I don't know what you're talking about.
These go in the Public Works vehicle, so we need to check in.
This is-
A snowplow. It's driving around all the time right now. I know the roads are covered, but what it was doing was it was some form of AI that would take constant monitoring of vehicles, public safety and other, of the roads, and monitor cracks, monitor things like that. And it just, PASER reminded me we had approved that, I thought. I was just curious where that stood, and it may have been prior to your coming on board. It seems like it was a little long.
Yeah, it was through through a bunch of iPhones, wasn't it?
Yeah.
If I may, I recall that conversation, though. It was suggested for car trucking to put it on their trucks, though. That's a whole different entity, though.
No.
You know what I mean? I thought that we talked about it, but I didn't know that was a for sure thing, that they would put it on their garbage trucks.
Well, no, it's not where it goes. It's just we have a service that will complement the PASER ratings. So I was curious if we had implemented that, where that ended up. It's just something to look into. Like I said, I apologize for kind of bringing this in
I will happily investigate
half-baked,
that.
but just if we can take a look at that, that's my only comment.
I would check prior to November of 2024.
Rings no bells for you?
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I think I probably would, because that would,
It was cool.
technology that I think would be.
The tech was pretty
Yeah, it
cool,
was really
yeah.
cool.
I just didn't know where that landed, and the PASER reminded me of that kind of commitment that we had made. So I don't know if we ever executed the contract or not, maybe we didn't, but just something to check into, because that could be very complimentary as we go through that process. Thanks.
Yeah. good. I remember that,
I think I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was back when Tom was here.
so anyhow, I'm
Neil
not
may
going
have left. He
to
probably
watch me
knows.
search, but
Yeah,
yeah, Neil would
Neil
remember what it is. All right, any other questions?
And just like to say thank you on the texting thing. I'm looking forward to that. I'll have
Yeah.
to see the feedback and, people, and also the AI thing with, what is it, Phil?
Yeah, polymorphic, that's farther out. Don't have a schedule for that yet.
No, but that's cool, too. I mean, we are like coming into the, 2000s.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
Our
nice.
website still sucks, but that's on the agenda for next fiscal year.
I'm happy
Hey,
to.
it's improved.
It's
improved.
yeah, it's an
Used to
improvement
be,
from where it was.
we didn't have the filter turned off, so you'd search for anything on our website, and it would pull Google results from the world,
Well,
and
it still
that was
kinda does.
slightly
That was
less
cool.
efficient search.
That was cool.
I will say we still are leaps and bounds ahead of public safety's website, so.
I think I built that for them in college.
Middle school, it was middle school.
They may
Oh, yeah.
They might be taking in social media, from what I understand, though, so.
All right, any other questions before we move on to the public safety report? Director Arnold, do you want to, anything you want to add? There's a report in the packet, outside of the fact those are not
You were just
belt
attacked.
Model that chair.
belt handy seats.
Public safety, no major reports, just an update on some of our new hiring. We unofficially swore in another new public safety officer today with Ms. Brown in the lobby in order to get his MCOLS license active. He is a veteran officer who retired with 25 years of service from the Owasso Police Department, a former lieutenant who spent over a dozen years in their detective bureau. So we are bringing on a tremendous amount of experience with some of our less experienced new hires as well. So my point being is a fantastic mixture thus far. We have 3 more on the that we see forthcoming in the next 30 to 60 days that we'll be bringing on as well.
Wow.
Looking at the statistics for 2025, I did note, or it was told to me from one of my officers who monitors our Facebook page a little bit more than I do, that there were some questions with respect to guns seized in November, the number being 28 guns seized for the month of November. And if you look back from there, October, September, August, 28 looks like it was a sizable amount. It is. They came from one household. So we took possession of an entire household's guns due to a court order that I cannot give any more information on that in the interest of privacy to the resident and criminal justice information systems that I cannot violate, but they did come from one resident's home as a safekeeping on a court order.
Interesting.
That is all of my report.
Any questions? I'm excited about the staffing. Anywhere I go in the community, I'm getting good feedback, so that's good. So I appreciate the work you're doing over there.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions?
Mr.
All right.
George, I would just comment, and maybe it's my memory, I don't know, but this document I'm looking at here, Beverly Hills Department of Public Safety 2025 Monthly Performance Report, I don't know that I've seen this before, but I enjoy this quite a bit. I like it.
Yes,
Thank you.
well, when I was interviewed, I was told that there was not a lot of love for the previous report that you were given. There was a lot of information on it, but not a lot of information on it. So I went out, spoke with some of my director friends in cities very similar to us, and I asked them for examples of how they report out the areas that they're reporting out. We did tweak it a little bit, and I do intend to add a few things in it. This was just the initial from August onward, and we did backfill it, but I thought this was a report that was condensed that had a lot more information on it as well, though.
This has been featured in previous council packets for the last several months. Sorry,
Sorry, Warren.
embarrassed, but just want to say we've been putting this out there for a
It's way at
little
the
bit
end.
of time.
Yeah.
It's way at the end.
Could
We
you put a
still
flag?
do the bullet report page, though, as well for any.
Yeah, we probably just start, Laura, like,
Yeah, we've seen the bullet report page. Well, thank you for this, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. Done with managers and directors' report. On to council comments. Mr. Mercer.
Welcome to a new year. No comments.
All right. Ms. Cascamati.
Nothing tonight. Thank you, Mr. George.
Mr. O'Gorman.
Same, Happy New Year to everybody. Looking forward to 2026 in the village.
All right. Ms. Rajewska.
Same, wish everyone a Happy New Year and looking forward to all of these joint meetings coming up. It's always a lot of interesting conversation on what we do in the next year. So.
Mr. Booth.
Thank you, Mr. George. SEMCOG Transportation Coordinating Council later this month. You said the village was going to be very busy in January. I'm going to be super busy in January as well. The Michigan Municipal League, I have an Elected Officials Academy Board meeting in January as well. Cable Board attending a meeting in January as well. Next is hoping to start to move into the 400 Lincoln Building by June of 2026. As I mentioned last time, details all forthcoming. Senior Advisory Council, nothing to report, but I do want to just recognize public safety, police and fire in particular, because both of, I don't know, I think everybody knows that our public safety is police and fire, right? Yeah. Well, anyway, just wanted to thank them. And then we could talk about it later. Thank you. That's all.
All right, Mr. Drummond.
Just wanted to thank Finance Director Cutie and the team at Yo and Yo for all the time and effort that it took to produce all the reports and our audit this year, along with our staff that helped out with that. I know it was a big lift and took a lot of effort to do that. Thank you. And then I think I mentioned this at the last meeting. I just want to remind everyone I will not be able to attend the special meetings on January 28th or 31st due to prior travel arrangements. So,
All right.
sorry about that. That's it.
We'll miss you. All right, thank you. Thank you to the staff for getting through a year with a lot of transition. Welcome to the new faces. Happy to have you. The audit's big when you've got a new finance director, new manager, new audit team, new attorney. We got a lot of moving parts, but I feel good about where we're at. I'm glad that they got through the first one. I'm glad again, you bring in new auditors, they look at things slightly differently, come up with some suggestions, some things that, one thing we had to correct from a prior year when we've been told by the previous auditors, it's all, that we were in good shape. So glad that's in process. So I appreciate all the hard work from everybody to get to this point. I don't know if anyone's watched the news lately. Lot going on. Elections in 26. You don't have to wait until now to put some pressure on your federally elected officials if you have anything you'd like to voice to cause action, and carefully consider the options you have coming in 26. There's a lot going on outside of our community. I feel incredibly, I'm also reading a book on Lincoln that makes me realize how nice it is to have, I can step out my front door and see where all my signs are. I don't have to worry about big strategy, but this will be an active year, and democracy is a participation sport. So do your research, reach out to your elected officials and make sure they know how you feel and are acting on your behalf. So with that, I would call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?